Hello, Los Angeles Dodgers fans. We've got fresh, exclusive videos and the latest updates just for you. Before we dive in, make sure to join our channel and hit that like button. This is the best way to stay on top of all the breaking news. The baseball world woke up today, buzzing like never before. And if you've been anywhere near social media, you already know the shockwave that hit Los Angeles. A rumor so surreal that fans aren't sure whether to panic, celebrate, or simply sit down and breathe. Word is spreading that Mookie Betts, the face of the Dodgers, the superstar who redefined the franchise's swagger, is out. Yes, out. In what insiders are calling one of the most unexpected negotiation twists in recent MLB memory. And look, nobody saw this coming. Not the analysts, not the clubhouse vets, not even the fans who thought Betts was locked into LA for life. The whispers started late last night. First as vague hints from sources close to the situation, then as louder murmurs from voices that usually stay silent unless something real is brewing. Suddenly, timelines exploded, fan pages panicked, and the Dodgers universe went into meltdown mode, wondering what in the world is happening behind those closed doors in Chavez Ravine. The kind of rumor that doesn't appear out of nowhere, something big is shaking. As more details leaked, the conversation took a turn that nobody was ready for. Apparently, negotiations involving Betts, yes, the cornerstone, the MVP, the man whose jersey outsells half the roster combined, escalated into a level of tension that surprised even those who understand how ruthless high-stakes sports business can get. Some insiders claim that what was supposed to be a simple internal adjustment around performance expectations, long-term guarantees, and role stability suddenly ballooned into a full-blown standoff. And in the middle of it all, Betts supposedly expressed frustration with decisions happening above him, strategic shifts, roster philosophies, and even how the front office communicates future plans. Nothing is confirmed, of course, but when so many whispers align, fans begin connecting dots. And let's be honest, these dots paint a picture that feels too chaotic to be random. Something is off. Meanwhile, fans are already processing the emotional side of this rumor, because this isn't just any player we're talking about. This is Mookie Betts, the electric star who brought energy, charisma, and championship-caliber talent back to LA baseball. Losing him wouldn't just be a roster shuffle. It would be ripping out the heartbeat of the team's identity. And that's exactly why the fan base is spiraling. People are replaying highlights, remembering playoff runs, recounting his leadership both on and off the field, and they're asking themselves how a story like this could even exist. Even the calmest fans, the ones who never panic, are starting to question whether this franchise is about to enter a new era and not necessarily the good kind. The stadium lights feel dimmer today, even with no official announcement. At the same time, rival teams are circling the situation like sharks smelling fresh blood in the water. Every time a superstar becomes potentially available, even through rumor, the league reacts instantly. And you better believe front offices across the country are already crunching numbers, running simulations, and imagining what their lineup would look like with Betts anchoring it. The murmurs say 3 teams, in particular, have positioned themselves to make a blockbuster move the second the door cracks open. Whether that's true or just the natural chaos that follows a rumor of this magnitude, the effect is the same. Pressure. Pressure on the Dodgers, pressure on Betts, pressure on the entire narrative that's been built since the day he arrived in LA. This is the kind of storm that keeps phones buzzing in every executive suite in Major League Baseball. Inside the Dodgers clubhouse, anonymous sources claimed the vibe shifted dramatically in the last 48 hours. Not hostility. Nobody's saying that. But a strange uncertainty, a heavy silence broken only by short conversations between players trying to figure out what's real and what's just noise. Betts is said to be composed, professional, going about his routine, but even the most composed competitor can't ignore a rumor of this size. Teammates supposedly approached him, checking in, trying to understand what's happening, but Betts allegedly kept everything close to the chest. And honestly, who could blame him? When something this massive is brewing, you move carefully, you speak carefully, you breathe carefully. Every word becomes a headline, even when no one's talking on the record. The craziest part is that this situation still feels like it could go in any direction. Maybe it's all smoke. Maybe it's the start of the biggest MLB plot twist in years. Maybe we're watching the early stages of a dramatic separation between a franchise icon and a team that wasn't ready to confront the possibility of life without him. But if there's one thing everybody agrees on, it's this. The Dodgers don't randomly stumble into chaos. If a rumor this explosive is gaining traction, something behind the scenes is absolutely boiling. And until someone steps forward with undeniable clarity, the baseball world will stay glued to every update, every hint, every new whisper coming out of Los Angeles. Something historic could be unfolding. As the morning sun hit Los Angeles, the rumor didn't calm down. If anything, it intensified, spreading across talk shows, podcasts, and baseball channels like wildfire. Analysts who usually stay cautious began acknowledging that something significant might be at play, fueling even more speculation among fans already on edge. And that's when the story took an even more dramatic shape. Whispers that the initial negotiation conflict wasn't about money for BETTS, but about direction, about identity, about where this Dodgers franchise sees itself heading over the next few years. Some voices claim BETTS felt the team was losing its competitive sharpness, drifting away from the aggressive mentality that once defined them. Whether that's exaggerated or spot on, it added gasoline to an already raging fire. And just like that, people started wondering if this is really a rumor or the beginning of a breakup. Meanwhile, fan reactions became a whole separate spectacle. Dodger Stadium parking lots, usually quiet during the off-season, reportedly had pockets of fans gathering just to talk about what's happening, debating, arguing, trying to make sense of the chaos. Online, emotions range from heartbreak to denial, from anger at the front office to total disbelief that a player of BETTS' caliber would even consider leaving. Some fans are demanding statements. Others are calling for patience. But the truth is, nobody has answers. And it's precisely that uncertainty that's turning this into the biggest baseball rumor of the year. When the face of a franchise becomes the center of a negotiation shockwave, the entire baseball world stops breathing for a moment. Behind closed doors, though, the tension seems to be getting heavier. Sources close to the situation, those shadowy voices who always seem to know more than they should, say the Dodgers front office is scrambling to contain the narrative before it spirals into full-blown crisis mode. The fear isn't just losing BETTS. It's losing the trust of a fan base that sees him as a symbol of success and dominance. Without him, the tone shifts. The perception shifts. Everything shifts. And that's why the rumor feels so much larger than just a player maybe leaving a team. This feels like a crossroads moment for the franchise, the kind that shapes the next decade. Some insiders insist the Dodgers are preparing a last-minute push to calm things down, re-establish communication, and reassure BETTS that his voice matters within the organization. They're supposedly discussing structural adjustments, strategic concessions, even creative ways to rebuild certain areas of the roster to align with BETTS' vision. But the question hovering over all of this is whether the effort comes too late. Because once a superstar feels unheard or underestimated, the relationship rarely returns to what it was. And in sports, where pride, vision, and legacy play enormous roles, repairing trust can be more complicated than signing any contract. As the day unfolds, rival teams continue lurking in the shadows with quiet confidence. General managers are reportedly contacting BETTS representatives just to stay in the loop, even though no official trade talks are on the table. They know situations like this can flip suddenly. And when that flip happens, the teams ready to pounce are the ones who win big. And if BETTS truly becomes available, even just emotionally, the bidding war would be unlike anything we've seen in recent years. This isn't just about talent. This is about leadership, championship pedigree, marketability, and the kind of presence that transforms a franchise. Every rival team knows it. Now the baseball community waits. Every hour without clarity feels like another layer added to the suspense. Is this the beginning of Mookie Betts' exit from the Dodgers? Is this a negotiation tactic gone wrong? Or is this simply rumor season madness getting out of control? No one knows. But one thing is certain, the story is far from over. And if even half of the whispers circulating right now are true, the Dodgers could be standing at the edge of one of the most shocking transitions in their modern history. Until then, all we can do is watch, refresh our feeds, and brace ourselves, because a storm this big never fades quietly. The third wave of chaos hit the baseball world this afternoon when new rumors emerged, pushing the Mookie BETTS story in a territory nobody imagined, even in their wildest off-season fever dreams. What began as whispers about negotiations has now escalated into full-on speculation that BETTS' camp and the Dodgers are dealing with a deeper internal fracture, something rooted not just in contracts or strategy, but in philosophical disagreements about leadership and how much influence a superstar should have inside an elite organization. The conversation is no longer just about BETTS leaving. It's about whether the Dodgers are facing an identity crisis, a potential collapse of their internal hierarchy. And the craziest part? Multiple insiders are now saying the situation has reached a point where the front office is considering moves that once sounded impossible, even unthinkable. The organization is under pressure, and that pressure is turning the entire rumor into a wildfire impossible to control. It feels like the kind of story that becomes legend, the kind fans will talk about for decades, if it turns out to be true. At the same time, reports are circulating that BETTS himself is stepping back from public appearances, opting to keep his circle tight and his words minimal. Some sources claim that even inside private training facilities, he's keeping his head down, staying locked into his routine, but avoiding any conversation that might add fuel to the media inferno erupting around his name. People who saw him today described him as focused but distant, the kind of demeanor you expect from someone who knows the next chapter is going to be complicated. And honestly, who wouldn't be distant? When your future becomes the biggest rumor in sports, you're suddenly carrying the weight of an entire fan base on your shoulders. Teammates, meanwhile, are said to be taking sides, not in a dramatic or confrontational way, but in the natural way people align themselves emotionally when a franchise quake shakes the ground. Everyone feels the tension. Everyone fears what comes next. The front office, according to the latest whispers, is now holding internal meetings around the clock. Executives who usually operate in calm, methodical rhythms are reportedly scrambling to craft the perfect response, something that soothes fans, appeals to BETTS, and doesn't create legal or contractual problems. Some analysts even believe the Dodgers are preparing a contingency plan in case BETTS demands transparency in a way that forces the team to reveal details they're not ready to make public. A few daring voices have hinted that the franchise might be preparing for radical restructuring, not just in roster composition, but in the chain of authority itself. Whether that means new leadership, new advisors, or new operational strategies is completely unknown. But the fact that such whispers even exist shows just how massive this situation has become. This isn't a normal rumor. It's a full-blown saga shaping the soul of a legendary franchise. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. Meanwhile, fans are entering what can only be described as an emotional roller coaster with no brakes. One moment, they're convinced BETTS is staying, that the front office will fix everything, that cooler heads will prevail. The next moment, they're bracing for farewell tributes, imagining press conferences, and wondering how the team will fill a void that simply cannot be replaced. The emotional fatigue is real. Social media is a battlefield of theories, heartbreak, hope, and panic. Some fans are even calling for a massive public demonstration outside Dodger Stadium, arguing that this is the moment to show the front office what BETTS means to the soul of the city. Others warn that pushing too hard could backfire, possibly accelerating the very breakup they're trying to prevent. And in between all that noise are the silent fans, the ones who don't say much but feel everything deeply, waiting for clarity that never seems to come. What's adding even more heat to the rumor is the sudden involvement of high-profile athletes outside baseball who are commenting on the situation. When other stars start sending cryptic messages online, hinting that Betts deserves better, fans take notice. Those messages might be harmless, might be innocent, might even be jokes, but in the context of this saga, they hit like dynamite. And each time a new celebrity voice jumps in, the story grows bigger, louder, and more impossible to contain. Some insiders claim Betts is uncomfortable with this sudden wave of external support because it could make negotiations even more tense. Others believe he sees it as validation, proof that the sports world views him as a pillar deserving the respect and influence he's fighting for. Either way, these outside voices are shaping the narrative in ways the Dodgers never anticipated. As night settles over Los Angeles, the uncertainty becomes almost cinematic. Reporters are gathering near training facilities. Fans are refreshing their phones like it's a reflex, and insiders are hinting that something could break soon. Nobody knows whether that something is good or catastrophic. Maybe Betts and the Dodgers reach a groundbreaking agreement. Maybe the franchise issues a statement that flips the entire rumor upside down. Or maybe, just maybe, the inevitable happens, and the baseball world wakes up tomorrow to the news that the Mookie Betts era in Los Angeles has come to an end. Whatever happens, one thing is undeniable. This is no longer just a rumor. This is a spectacle, a saga, a moment that could define the future of baseball's most powerful franchise. And the world is watching, holding its breath. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.